Hello everyone and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast as part of a Laboratorial news. This audio podcast as part of Laboratorial news. This audio podcast as part of LabZtorm. This audio podcast as part of a Corel Broader. This audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics production. In this audio podcast, now looking at the aims and objectives as part of this peer-reviewed and published works from 2020. So primarily it aims the aims in around this peer-reviewed and published works from 2020 were to investigate the perspectives relating to educational support surrounding chronic kidney disease, laboratory investigations and tests and allied health professionals, AHP's role from and AHP's roles, allied health professionals roles from a sample of the renal patient support group, the RPSG members. The research team conducted conduct five polls from January 2018 to July 2018 to help understand healthcare communication techniques and importance of AHP or healthcare scientists educational support from healthcare scientists educational support for laboratory tests and investigations. The objectives were as the objectives of the investigation of this investigation were to help answer the following. Number one, would you see a physician other than a dedicated or your own physician? Number two, question two was how can health professionals better understand or appreciate being in a chronic illness? Number three, what tech solutions are available through your general practice and transplant department. Number four, if you had access to AHPs or healthcare scientists in primary care or community, who could tell you about the tests and investigations, would you access this service? And question five was how likely are you to use the following sort of tech for educational support from AHPs and AHPs from allied health professionals. So yes, and so the following there will be a subsequent subsequent audio podcast that would delve into the sort of methodology and sort of the sort of findings around this works as part of this sort of audio podcast series and so that draws this audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast as part of a Laboratorial news. This audio podcast as part of a LabZtorm. This audio podcast as part of a Corel Broader. This audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics production.